Just a quick video. This time we have a new hiring post for the next Mass Effect game from BioWare. As you can see here on the BioWare careers page, we have a game design job. And when they first post these, it's pretty normal for them to not even have the actual job listed. This will probably be updated in a day or two. But if you click on this, you come here and you see that they are hiring for a lead level designer. There's a few interesting things in here to point out. More than anything, this is a hybrid job. It does look like you'll be expected to go up to Edmonton and live there and work in what we can only assume is the only BioWare office now. I think Austin still technically exists, but I think Austin still technically exists, but we don't hear much from them at this point. It does even have them listed on here. Um, Kind of working down here, though, one of the interesting things here is this one straight up points out what they're working on. The studio is developing the future game experiences for the Mass Effect franchise, one of the highest rated video game series of all time. That's interesting. I believe this was also on the last listing that was posted earlier this year that we presume has been filled by now. But they had similar language or maybe even the exact same thing. And it doesn't just say they're working on the next Mass Effect game. This is future game experiences. What I think, and this is mostly just speculation, actually, it's completely speculation, is that they are working on Mass Effect 5 right now. I don't know if they've entered full production yet. I imagine if they're hiring lead level designer, they are probably not doing that yet. I suspect that comes very soon. For a while, for N7 Day 2025, I've speculated that they will announce full production, but I could be wrong. I suspect at the very least, they may have another small team that is also working on ideas for what comes after the next game. So whether they're looking to do another trilogy, whether they're looking to do something completely different, I don't know. They also, either and or could be working on third-party experiences. So what I mean by that is that there could be a situation where the BioWare team is working on Mass Effect 5 and they contract with either other EA studios or third-party studios entirely who would make other experiences. For example, they could have another studio work on like a real-time strategy game based in the Mass Effect universe. Something I've been talking a lot about is that they are going to try to reestablish Mass Effect as a platform, as a brand, as a franchise again, because they kind of have to, because they didn't do that with Dragon Age. And among many reasons, that likely caused Dragon Age the Veilguard to fail from a sales perspective because it was irrelevant. It hadn't had a game in 10 years, and they didn't really do anything in the lead up to make it matter again. That's not what they are doing here. To me, what it seems like, and what it seems to be suggested here, is that they are trying to probably create multiple games under this franchise. We know they're doing a TV show. I wouldn't be surprised at all if fairly soon we hear about comics, books, all kinds of things that may bring them into a more typical conversation amongst gamers and people just interested in media in general. Because if they want the next Mass Effect to be a big success, the franchise needs to matter again before that game comes out. So let's consider that. It says here, we're looking for a lead level designer to join our level design team, leadership team. In this role, you'll drive vision and shape world spaces through all stages, from early prototyping to final polish. As far as I can remember, I've seen other positions like this. This is a fairly typical line. There are some interesting things in here. I saw other people pointing out. One of them being, I believe it's here, just talking about landmarks, encounters, flow rhythm, tension, pacing. This is all stuff that seems fairly normal. I do like seeing this. develop gold standard missions and levels that exemplify Mass Effect's creative vision and core pillars. They had obviously one of the interesting ones is, and this is all but confirmed at this point, but the Unreal Engine experience that I think was still somewhat in doubt, that they were using that because honestly, Dragon Age: The Veilguard used the Frostbite engine really well. EA Motive, who I've speculated is going to help with development of the next game as a co-dev, it has used that for like the Dead Space remake. I don't know, but Motive also is making the Iron Man game in Unreal Engine, so they kind of have both. We do have the little note here that this will work with the artist and the art director to balance technical, aesthetic, gameplay, and narrative constraints. That's to be expected. This is not a director position, just as a reminder. All of those positions, as far as I can tell, have been filled, and I don't know. I think they've at least had all their directors in place for 2 to 3 years now, which for all the turmoil going on at EA and BioWare and in the game industry in general, that has remained a pretty exciting thing for me, because I don't that leadership being in place for an extended amount of time seems like a good thing. In general, we this experience with non-linear level design, that was something a bunch of people were pointing out. Who knows what that means? I think what that likely entails is, even if you think back to Andromeda, because of the jump jets, they could design levels to be that you could run through them. You could use the jump jets to get into elevated areas and things like that. I would imagine it's something like that. I fully expect, partially due to rumors and maybe just my own intuition, I fully expect them to do the hub and mission style gameplay where we're on a ship, we're going to different planets. There may be a hub area to explore, maybe multiple of them, but we'll go to missions from those hubs. We'll discover missions from those hubs, and those hubs will be used for maybe crafting or buying things, or discovering missions and side missions and so on and so forth. But what I don't want personally is another Andromeda situation where we only get a couple of planets and they're kind of a mold between open world and hub world, and most of the missions are based off of these semi-open world, kind of small but bigger than small. I don't know how to describe it. These planets that we got in Andromeda, I just thought it left a lot to be desired. I also believe that the hub and mission style gameplay would make it just an easier game to develop. Personally, I think it would mean that this game comes sooner than later, because the longer this game takes to come out, the more I'm gonna worry for it, because that means the more money it's taken up, the more investment it's required. What what BioWare probably needs to do, in my opinion, is develop a good solid 8 out of 10 game in 2 or 3 years and just get it out. And if the idea is that they're going to make multiple games, it doesn't need to be 100-hour epic. It can be a nice solid 20, 30 hour experience, which I don't want to pretend like that's easy. That's still a huge game, but that has some replayability, that has some variety, that you can play it over and over again. But we don't need to spend 8 years developing this big giant epic game, because BioWare probably doesn't have that much time from EA. EA is probably not going to allow that. Now, I also suspect that BioWare is doing exactly what EA is letting them do. I highly doubt there is a bunch of leverage on BioWare's side right now where they can kind of lean on EA and be like, come on, let us spend another 6 years making a game, and let's spend, $250 million on this next project. And then, maybe we'll be lucky if it sells 2 or 3 million copies. I suspect that isn't the case. I highly suspect that there is a lot of pressure and hand holding being done by EA. And I'm hoping that because this is a smaller team, because this is a focus team, they're working on one game now, as far as we know, that will lead to uh, something that will make BioWare sustainable in the future and hopefully get us more Mass Effect games. Hell, maybe even get crazy. Maybe one day we'll get more Dragon Age games, and maybe Anthem 2. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think this is the biggest news in the world. I don't want to portray it that way. But I do think, and I've said for a while, any motion by EA and Electronic Arts and all of that with BioWare is a good thing. More announcements of layoffs and restructuring and all of that, obviously bad. Any hiring they're doing is a big deal. This is a job that's going to be paying over $100,000 a year for USD at least, or around there. This isn't just some entry level nobody job. This is, they're investing here, and you want to see EA investing into BioWare. The more of that happens, the more support there is behind BioWare in this next project, the more likely we are to see it, and hopefully the more likely it is to be successful and they get to continue on. So let me know what you think about all this. Let me know if you have any insight that maybe I don't have. I'd be curious to hear from you down in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more Mass Effect news and analysis and speculation, all of that. Or if you just want some gaming news and so on, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button so more people see this, and consider becoming a YouTube member to get videos like this one just a bit early, as well as some other perks, and to support what I'm doing here. If you want to see other ways to support or to see the other content I'm making, check out the links in the video description. That is all I have for this one, so until next time.